Hello. Now we're going to move on to 1 John chapter 2, verses 7 through 11. Um, we kind of see John uh, continuing on what he had before, kind of keeping the same tack, but we're going to kind of jump right in here again to kind of preface what's going on here. Again, 1 John chapter 2, verses 7 through 11. Brethren, I write no new commandment unto you, but an old commandment which ye had from the beginning. The old commandment is the word which ye have heard from the beginning. Again, a new commandment I write unto you, which thing is true in him and in you, because the darkness is past, and the true light now shineth. He that saith he is in the light, and hateth his brother, is in darkness even until now. He that loveth his brother abideth in the light, and there is none occasion of stumbling in him. But he that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because that darkness hath blinded his eyes. Now we have John saying here that there is a return to fundamentals that needs to take place, spiritual fundamentals that need to take place. No real new groundbreaking commandments, but the idea of loving one another as Christ has loved us. He is, however, giving him a new idea because the spirit of darkness, the church in general in this first century had been tortured under, is now past, and the true light, Jesus, could now shine once again. John's focusing a lot on the idea of brotherly love here. I believe it's because the brother or sister is someone you can see or touch and feel on a physical realm. And it's a lot easier to interact with someone on in the physical realm rather than with something on a spiritual realm. I mean, that's pretty much a fact, a given. And if you can't love the person you can physically see, like your brother or sister, how are you to be expected to love God that you can't see, who exists in the purely spiritual realm? That kind of sets the a difference out between the two different types of love here: phileo, brotherly, and agape, charitable, unconditional love. And that's not even really a full understanding or explanation of God's love for us. I mean, it's a pretty good explanation of God's charitable works for us, how He sent His Son to die for us. He had a plan in place at the beginning of time to outsmart our sinful nature and set something aside so we'd be able to still exist with Him, provided we were able to set aside our pride with and follow Him with this charitable and unconditional love of His. But it's still, we're using physical terms to describe a spiritual type of love. So there's always going to be something that we fully cannot describe and completely understand. But again, the best way to describe it is a charitable or unconditional type of love that God shows towards us. And we see that we can't walk in light if we walk in the darkness, because it blinds our light here. And if we walk in darkness, we walk not in the light, because God cannot exist in the light, because He is the light. God cannot exist in the darkness and the light, because He is purely light. I hope that kind of makes sense for you. The main idea here is loving God starts with being able to love someone like your brother on the physical realm, and then being able to transfer that sort of love into loving God, who already loves us, no matter our sin. He loved us enough to send His one and only begotten Son to die for us. But it has to be reciprocated on our end. We have to love God as well. That's the other important part of love. It's a two-way street. A lot of times we think it's just a free ride on our end, and it's not true. But I hope that kind of makes sense for you for this second part of this first half of John chapter 2.